Has this ever happened to you? If you didn't get what I was trying to do there, I was trying to recreate this Narcos meme. But anyway, today I just wanted to go over why you didn't or may not currently be feeling anything from the psychedelics you took, such as LSD or shrooms. So first of all, how long has it been since you last dosed? Sometimes people will be like, I don't think I really feel anything, and then bam, it hits them. So depending on the dosage, it usually hits within like 20 minutes to an hour, hour and a half. So I would wait until 2 hours before being like, okay, something may not be quite right here. Second question is, do you take enough? So with smaller doses, especially if you're new to this drug and you don't really know what to expect, you may not actually be that sensitive to it, and so you might need more of it to feel something. So depending on how much time has passed since you dosed when you realize this, you could take like a booster dose before 2 hours after your first dosage time. But again, be careful because bam, it could hit you and then you would be tripping harder than you wanted to. But after 2 hours or so, your tolerance may have already set in, and so it would be kind of a waste to take it at this time, and it would be better to wait like 2 weeks or so before trying again. Some people though I find are just naturally not that sensitive to psychedelics, and you may be one of those people, especially if you took the same psychedelic with a group of people and they're all tripping balls and you're over here like, meh. I have a friend who needs like 600 micrograms of LSD to start really feeling anything, but if you are one of these people, then I would say to incrementally up your dosage little by little until you find that point. So, you know, don't go from 0 to 10,000 real quick. Up your dosage each time by like 50 micrograms of LSD and like 0.25 to 0.5 grams of shrooms until you reach that point. Also, have you tripped recently? Recently being like within the last 2 weeks. Remember, LSD and shrooms do have like a cross tolerance, so maybe you tripped on shrooms like a week ago and now you're trying LSD for the first time and it's not really working and you're like, what's wrong? So it may have been because you tripped too recently since your last trip, and this is due to your physical tolerance not being fully reset yet. So that depends on like when was the last time you tripped, how much did you take last time, and you'd have to take a much larger dose than you would think to feel at the level you want to feel. So for instance, if you tripped on 100 micrograms of LSD yesterday, then today maybe you need like 200 micrograms. I'm not exactly sure that's right, but there are calculators online that'll tell you. Although I would recommend spacing out your trips longer than that, and I have a video going over what I recommend, how often you should trip, that I'll link in the description below. But that also brings up the question, like, what do you mean when you say you don't really feel anything? Sometimes people straight up don't feel shit. Sometimes people will be like, I do feel a little off, something's a little different, but it's not really what I expected. It's not like tripping. And that may be because you lost the magic, and that's due to tripping too frequently. And this could happen on a batch that like you've taken before and you've definitely tripped on those batches. So you're like, what's wrong now? I know it's like real, it worked last time. In these cases, I would try to take a longer break from psychedelics and try to really integrate into your sober life whatever came up from your last trips before trying to trip again. Another reason why your batch of tabs or shrooms may not be working the same as they did in the past, maybe because they have lost their potency. It's not like it's not real LSD or real shrooms, they're just hella weak now. This could be due to them being improperly stored, like in the heat or in direct light, or they're just really old and time has done its thing. So if you don't feel anything, it could be because your psychs have just naturally degraded. Another reason that's actually quite common that people don't realize before they take psychs is if you're on certain medications like anti-depressants and SSRIs. So I don't know the whole list, and so I would recommend that you research whatever medications you're taking, if you're on any, and their interactions with psychedelics, because it could be one that would make you not feel anything on psychedelics. So if you are on these kinds of medications and you want to stop so you can trip and feel something, you can't just stop like for 2 days and then try it. You have to stop for a few weeks, but I would be really hesitant to recommend that, and if you are going to do that, please be very careful and safe when going off your medications to do that. So a shroom specific reason why you may not feel anything is maybe you had too much to eat right before you tripped. So sometimes people like to fast at least like 6 hours before a trip because they believe that this will make the shrooms hit harder, but there are people who say it doesn't really matter. However, if you're someone who had like a huge burrito right before your trip and you didn't feel anything, maybe next time you try shrooms, try fasting for a few hours before tripping. Now, an LSD specific reason why you don't feel anything, and this could be true for shrooms too, is that you don't have real LSD. So I have a whole video on how to tell to the best of your abilities whether you have real LSD or not, which I will link in the description. But let's take NDOME or NBOME for example. So that is active sublingually, not orally. So if you just swallowed it directly, you wouldn't feel anything. Or if you left it under your tongue, chewed it up a bit, you might trip a little with NBOME. I wouldn't really recommend tripping on NBOME, although some people do like it. It's just a little more dangerous than real LSD, so I'd be careful with it if you're just trying to do it just to feel something. But I would recommend getting a test kit like the Ehrlich test for LSD, and the Ehrlich test won't tell you that you for sure have LSD, but it will tell you that you don't have LSD, if that makes sense. So it can rule things out, which is useful. Anyway, I know how much this sucks when it happens, like with all the anticipation and excitement and then that agony waiting after you dose, like do I feel it or not? Is it placebo? And then nothing happens for a while and it's just anticlimactic. I hope that this video sheds some light on why you may not be feeling anything on LSD or shrooms, and as always, I hope you do these things safely, responsibly, and respectfully. Alright, bye!